So good evening to everyone. Welcome to Real Talk tonight, our usual Monday night social media program. And you know that we have been spending a lot of time on various issues affecting us, from our political, social, economical, environmental, even legal issues. We bring it to you, and tonight is no exception. Let me just say good night to those of you who are tuning in right now. And it's a pleasure to have you with us, those of you who have logged in. And it's also a pleasure to have an honorable gentleman in the house, which I will introduce very soon. But tonight we will be exploring not going into detail, but at least informing you all about what has been happening with respect to the CBI matter. It's a matter that has been long outstanding. And, we have taken the matter to court. We have challenged the government to make a declaration as to where the court has jurisdiction over the matter. I believe they wanted that matter struck off, but by no means the court will go this way. And yes, we are now in the courts, and we'll have our attorney, Ronald Charles, who also happens to be our deputy political leader also, will be giving you at least a perspective as to where we're at and what is needed to be done. So let me just say, first of all, that we are very grateful for the support that we have been getting from the many patrons out there who want to see a better Dominica and who want to see justice. But I know, as we do, I know we don't normally do it, but it's a short program, but I want to call out on some people. We heard of some deaths today. We have Junior Luge, who has passed on. May his soul rest in peace. And let me say to his family and friends, condolences extended to him on behalf of the United Workers' Party. We also heard of the death of Miss Evelyn, who lives in Emsal. So again, and to the many persons who have passed, let me just say, it's something that we have to live with, but the good Lord never gives us more than we can take. So it's already today, the 24th of February, 2026, and time is running fast and furious. At least by weekend, February would have gone and say goodbye, and we would be into March. And so time doesn't wait for any one of us. And so tonight is a pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Ronald Charles, our deputy political leader and an attorney by profession.
Yes.
Mr. Charles, normally we always have a chit chat and,
Yeah.
Let's tell me what happened, how you spend your weekend. Tell Dominicans, how has it been? I see you look tired. Tell us something. Tell us.
Let me just say good evening to your listeners and the many listeners on the Real Talk with Dr. Thomson Fontaine. And of course, it's my pleasure to be here this evening. More importantly, let me just say that the weekend was great. The weekend was full with preparation for the matter that was heard before the court. That is Bernie Ryan against the Attorney General of Dominica and the Commonwealth of Dominica, and of course our attorneys, senior counsel, Anad. Let me again say that it was filled with preparation for the matter. I know that my office was relatively busy because there's a lot of documents that one would have to prepare, before going to court. Again, a big thumbs up to the legal team, of course, senior counsel, and the work that he has done on this matter, he and his team, and all those who have assisted in one way or the other. Of course, our claimant, not forgetting our claimant, Bernie Ryan. I call him the little soldier with a lot to offer. So that is what it is. And separate and apart from that, my little exercises, you have to do a little exercise, so you have to get on the bike, you have to do some push-ups, let the heart rate go up, because
Yeah, I
everything
noticed
going
it.
up, so your heart rate have to go up too.
Yeah, you recycle
All
it.
in
You're
all,
a well community engaged guy. I know you're involved in so many things, man. I don't know how you do it, man.
well, sometimes I ask myself the same question. Of course, we had the opening of the United Roseau Valley United Football Club,
Wow.
the academy, and of course that was held on Saturday.
Very good.
Also, it was well attended by young people within the Roseau Valley, Roseau catchment area, including as far as Newton. And of course, I want to say thumbs up to the executive of the football club, the Roseau Valley Football Club. Specific reference to Mr. John Joseph and his team and the technical director. We call him Eggy, Mr. John Baptist. So, and all the other members that played a wonderful role in ensuring that the event turned out to be good. I can tell you it's thumbs up. I don't know if you had the opportunity to look at the photos that I posted. It was a great event. And we wanted to, again, I use that platform to say thank you to all those who made it possible. And of course, the family time, you always have to spend a little time with the family. Those are the rock of every good man, as they say, so you always have to reach out to them. So all in all, it was a compact weekend, and I want to thank God for giving me the glory and the opportunity to be able to even say those words this evening.
Well, I know you're a man who is community oriented, and when I saw the photos, they were not new to me. I know you have done different things. It's just that is a new aspect because you have organized many basketball leagues and so many other things in the various communities, particularly in your constituency. And I know you are doing good. And don't do it politically. I know you do it just because of the love for community and the love for growth with young persons. So I want to congratulate you on the work that you do. Well, Ronald, we are going straight into it. I was hoping that by now we'd have had Mr. Ryan Derivas because he's the plaintiff, and I'm sure persons would have loved to see him. I mean, he's made one appearance on our program before, and I just know, just seeing him, persons would love to can say, look, wow, this is a guy who's challenging his government. Yeah, yes, he is, and I wish that he can join us sometime later because he was informed about joining us, and sometimes he has a little technical issues sometimes to get on. So I hope that he can find it, necessary to get on. But Ronald, it has been a long, it has been a marathon with this event. I mean, this CBI matter has been spoken of. And, we've heard so many things about CBI and the sale of our passport. Some people don't like to call it the sale of our passport, but let's for clarity with the program, we can say the CBI matter, citizenship by investment. In many cases, you have persons, who want to, get involved in the program, and they can get into it, with two options. One is the real estate option, and one is a contribution that you probably would like to explain later. But the point is, as a United Workers Party, we have been concerned about, the monies of this, or the proceeds of CBI not going into the consolidated fund. And according to our constitution, as you will correctly stipulate as well, and as it stipulates, that all money should be, be accounted for in the consolidated fund. And we have seen many, reports come out in terms of the audit reports, and we've seen discrepancies with, at least with figures. And sometimes the figures don't add, or the maths doesn't add, or not mathing, as some people would say. And then we had concerns as a party. And so we really want to congratulate Ryan, the plaintiff, who has come out and actually filed this matter. You give us a background as to, how he came in and what was said about him by the government with respect to if he has been enough to stand for this matter. So right into it, come on, Ronald, step us into it, give us a background, and tell us what we have done so far, where we have reached, the hurdles that we have had to get it right is. And I'll just give you a time, and from time to time, questions will be asked. And some persons who are joining us may well ask questions you may have to answer. So go right into it for us, please.
Okay, first of all, let me just say that the matter has not yet been fully ventilated. And in the circumstances, a decision would have to be taken. But let me start from the top. The important thing to highlight is that this matter, principally, it's about transparency and good governance. That is one of the first and fundamental issue that we must grapple with. All right, it is about the management of the public purse or the management of public revenue. So once we cement this, we will understand that, and you gave the premise of which, we are before the court. So the claimant, which is Mr. Ryan, of course, have concern that if you have an issue like this before us, that is, put it in simple terms, other persons or another entity or organization is managing your public purse, I don't believe that is a right way to go. And we say this because the question remains that the claimant, which is Ryan, is asking a declaration of relief. All right, it's not about seeking damages and trying to get back to the court.
No.
It is to determine the legality, which is important, the legality of the arrangement between the government and MMC. All right, specifically issues as it relates to one, whether the so-called MMC housing cash option is authorized by the CBI regulations, whether the division of the CBI revenue to private accounts rather than the consolidated fund is lawful, and whether MMC, right, contract complies with the Procurement and Contract Act. So these are some of the fundamental issues that needs to be addressed. And one would say Bernie Ryan is able to bring this because first and foremost, he has what we call local standard. In that as a citizen of the Commonwealth of Dominica, I give you to manage my purse. I have a right that if there's anything affecting my purse, that is the government purse, that you as a citizen have a right. And then he based it on issues such as the government own published budget statement and estimates. You remember that?
Aye, of course.
But Mr. Linton highlighted so many issues around that.
Right.
The media reports based on official data, a detailed financial analysis, right, complied for those published figures. The Prime Minister owned public statements. Remember when he made those statements when he was trying to explain how the options go, and maybe, he was saying a lot of things around that. And of course, the statement made by Dr. Anthony Hayden himself. So it's about public interest. It's about bringing the matter to the public interest. The defendant case, however, is, one would say, was, in my own words, adversely, affected by, material non-disclosure of several documents, which have been referred to, right? So you're asking for bank statements, you're asking for ledgers, and you're asking for manuals and so forth. Invoices, record of citizenship granted under the agreement, the short list of suitable accommodation and letters, etc., budget estimates, approval, cabinet approval, all right, and Ministry of Finance records. And why do we say cabinet approval? Because you will see later that it was of fundamental importance that it is not just an agreement between two entities, right? When you're talking about the use of public revenue, the use of public funds, you have to ensure it goes through the proper procedural channel. So for example, if cabinet, where is the cabinet minutes to say this was done, that was done as it relates to the arrangement between the two parties? So it cannot be an outside entity, all right? And of course, the issue of jurisdiction of the claimant, that is Ryan, and whether or not he had jurisdiction to do so. The court dealt with that in previous applications, and then the court did come to the conclusion that he had a standing. Now, one of the things that we have to understand, Section 76 of the Constitution, right? And let me read it before I make any errors here. 76 of the Constitution is starting point, and it is mandatory in its term. It provides all, this is important, all revenues or other monies raised or received by Dominica, right, not being revenues of any other money that is payable by under any law for the time being in force in Dominica, into some other fund established for the specific purpose, shall be paid into the form of the consolidated fund. Right? Now, there is an exception to the Constitution as it relates to that. All right? The fund must be established by or under law. All right? Some of the exceptions, the fund must be established for a specific purpose. Okay? Now, there are various sections of the Constitution that one would see that was breached. All right? Now, the Financial Administration Act, that is Chapter 6302, right, which basically reinforced the constitutional position. Section 7 establishes the consolidated fund. There shall be one revenue fund, which shall be called the consolidated fund. Section 8 also deals with it. Section 10, Section 11, Section 13, and it goes on. Right? Section 77 of the Constitution provides that no monies shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund except to meet expenditure charged upon it by the Constitution or by the Act of Parliament, or where the issue of the funds has been authorized by an appropriation law. This prohibits public expenditure without parliamentary authority.
But stop there. I know you are moving at lightning speed, and I believe these are the arguments that, of course, will be raised by the plaintiff and by the lawyers.
These were the arguments that were raised.
That were raised, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Right. So what you're saying now, based on the number of things that you have said so far, it appears that there is an array of requests made to the government, which of course the government have become cleaners. And based on what you have read so far, the matter is taken in a direction as if there is a constitutional breach.
Yes,
right.
That is true. There is a constitutional breach because the consolidated fund, what one must ascertain is that the question is simple.
Right.
You get revenue, you get money for the sales of passport, whatever option it is, be it real estate, whatever, the money ought to go in the consolidated fund. All right. And that is as simple as that. So any other entity, person that would have access or that would be managing that fund would have had to have the authority to do so. And the arguments were very interesting when you sit in court and you hear senior counsel Mr. Arnold, and of course senior counsel Astafans, and it's not Tony Astafans, but I think it's all right. You would hear the different sides but one interesting point that I recall is the issue of the contract, because remember the claimants requested disclosure of the various documents, because at the end of the day, if you are in the public, you are government, you are the one that is in control of the consolidated fund and all the issues surrounding this. You know, it would be very difficult for us to be able to provide that disclosure document. It is you that would have to bring those information and say, well, here it is. Here's our information. You're making noise about this, but here's our information. Here's the passport. Here's the amount of money. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. So they seem to have kind of navigate their way somewhere different, talking about the whole issue of the contract. That is the contract between MMC and the government of Dominica that was disclosed. But the fact remains, what is that contract all about? And is that contract taking us in a different direction as to the real issue that ought to be ventilated? So it's going to be very interesting. And as I learned from senior counsel, Mr. Anand, one of the things that he's saying is that, he believes that definitely this is a matter that may have to reach the highest court in quick time, because, no side is going to basically sit back and say, okay, the first phase of this case, we have, we have been, one would say, we've lost, and therefore that's it. No, I think that matter is going to go further. And on that note, that is why, and you said it in your opening remarks, it is so important, and we are so thankful for the contributions that so many persons are making towards this legal issue, because at the end of the day, it is very important that people get an appreciation for what is going on and how their monies are being spent. So it is also very interesting that then the argument is that basically the arrangement between MNC and the government is unlawful because it does not capture the fundamental principle that has been laid down by the Constitution and the Consolidated Fund when you're dealing with the issue of transparency and good governance. And that was a reason for this. That is the main reason for understanding that you cannot have rules and regulations and laws that are in place to manage the affairs of a country and try to take it out of that without the necessary and without, importantly, the power to do so. So there's no cabinet meeting, there's nothing, there's this, there's that. So this is where we're at so far. So the contract in itself, we believe, is unlawful. Okay, so you can of course appreciate that.
Yes, and we do appreciate that, and that is why you are here. And you being one of the legal minds, a lot of work, preparatory work has come from your office. You have been integral with respect to preparation work, and so I'm going to congratulate you for that. Notwithstanding that you have read section 76, and I just saw something. Although I don't care about the messenger writing that there. That person may have the political agenda, but it's interesting that section 76 came up, right? And I'm not going to read it over because you have already read it. But what in a sense the person is saying there right now is like some amendment, some SRNO, statutory regulations and orders may have superseded section 76. I know we're not arguing the matter.
No, let me answer.
Wait. I know we're not going to argue the matter here, but I know some people like to run in front to justify. So because this is written there, what do you have to say about just what is being expressed here?
Let me say something.
Yeah.
One of the fundamental pillars upon which the government is relying on is they say, well, hey, Erica, natural disasters, there's need for this, there's need for that. They need somebody to upload. Now you're talking about 2015.
That's correct.
Right? 2015, 2016, then they hit you with the Maria.
Yeah.
Maria and so many things. And nobody cannot take
what
away.
Before?
Exactly. That's where I'm going. No, nobody cannot take away from the fact that this country has gone through some serious devastation.
That's correct.
And nobody is saying that, we don't have to do what we have to do in order that we can bring people back on their feet.
That's correct.
But guess what? Even the Procurement Act, makes provision for disasters. And the way you're supposed, because the framers of the law also understood that, wait a minute, okay, I know there is a disaster, I know this, but I still want you to be careful with the management of the public purse. And therefore, I am putting it in the Procurement Act that there is certain principles that must be adhered to in terms of the way you're going ahead. So even if there is a disaster, one must take that into consideration and to stick to the point. Now, the person may have had the new SRO. You
Yeah.
realize over the past years, one must admit, due to the observation of the opposition forces as to this massive issue that can breed corruption, that is one person handling the purse for on behalf of Dominica as it relates to the sale of the citizen by investment program passports. So the framers of the law they kind of anticipated that that should not be the case, and you will see that is why that there have been improvements to some of the issues that have been highlighted in this matter and other matters to come. So that is why the government has been trying to make adjustments. In other words, as the ship is going, they're trying to fix up the waves to see what they can do to get things done properly. But more so, the CBI program, not only in Dominica, has been under some serious scrutiny throughout the region, and there has been a lot of emphasis on due diligence and the necessary impact, if these things are not done properly, because we can take for a fact that there has been many allegations of passport being sold for crooks and criminals, causing our country to be black labeled and blacklisted. So all this new improvement with the new SROs and the person who made the comment, and I don't know if one could take it holistically, but one would not take away from the fact that obviously, yes, and what is the date of the SRO? 2024?
Well, I was coming to that. I was saying
2024, it means that a lot of damage has been done for many years. So now they're saying it's improving. And another thing I want to make that, and this thing is getting me a little bit.
Yeah, I want to do this.
Let me calm down a little, because there is so much in here as to what is being done. I suspect we may have to lengthen from this program to maybe another 4 hours this evening.
Yes, but let me take it. Let us take it step by step, because it's interesting. And as I said, we are not trying the matter there. The matter is we are not trying the matter here. The matter is already in the court, and it has to be ventilated through the courts. But notwithstanding, and then I want people to understand this very well. Notwithstanding, Section 76 actually stipulates what should be in the consolidated fund and what should not. And I don't mind, and I don't hear about the amendment to bring in SR and O there. I believe there is a timeline, and I'm sure there's a timeline in the matter, and that's where the lawyers will be going. But also too, whether you have what it stands as Section 76, or whether an amendment, I am sure the court will always want to know, in the public's interest, what the money has been doing, and to make the government force a declaration as to what the money has been doing. Because notwithstanding the laws itself, what it states, but at least you have to be accountable to the people. And that is why Mr. Ryan has come forward as a citizen and actually put all of these matters forward. So it's not about what has been done with respect to amendments, but the core point is the government has a responsibility to its citizens. And if questions are asked, then I think the question should be duly answered to the citizen accordingly. You agree with this?
Totally so. And then, and that is the thing. The thing is that the basic point is, it's not about, like, for example, if I could just go back a little.
Right.
There is a matter that is ongoing as to the appointment of the opposition. You're aware of that?
I'm aware of that. And
the question remains that if that matter is in court,
right,
but we did not have a leader of opposition for a while.
That is correct. Was it deliberate?
Hold on. But the matter is in court.
Right.
For the appointment of an opposition leader as per the Constitution.
That's correct.
All right. Now, you cannot say, now there is an appointment of the opposition leader, so we must just set the case aside and forget it. Because no. Principally speaking, you have to put the law in place so that it will not be repeated. And this is something that people across the region, governments across the region, will be watching, because this result of this case, be it from the first instance court, the appellate court, or the CCJ, at the end of the day, has big implications for the governance of countries within our region. We have to understand that this is not about trying to punish and asking for damages. So in case the United Workers' Party or Bernie Ryan were to be successful, or we're going to get all this thing and we win. And no, it's not about that. It's a declaration saying, moving forward, and I agree with the claimant that those monies ought to be and have to be and should always be coming from the consolidated fund and depositing in the consolidated fund. Now, can you imagine if there was a better level of transparency? We wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't even be discussing this tonight. There would be no need, because we'd be able to say, well, we have sold 63,000, or I don't know if it's 53,000, whatever amount of passports we have sold in the different options, be it the real estate option or be it the housing option, whatever it is. But this is the amount. This is what we receive. This is what we did. This is what we're expending out there. This is what we did. This is what we use for education fund. This is what we use for this fund. This is what we use for the disaster fund. Then we wouldn't be here today, because that is the sole purpose of it, Mr. Soso, General Soso. This is the big purpose of it. The purpose of the consolidated fund is for transparency, good governance, and accountability. And that is why we're saying, you cannot tell me that you have a home, right? And you're supposed to be receiving a salary from your employer. That salary is given to somebody else to manage, and your home doesn't know nothing about that salary. That doesn't make sense. So we have to understand that the arrangement, what we call the biscuit arrangement between MMC and the government, is unconstitutional, it's unlawful, and it is a detriment to the hardworking people of this country, because that passport belongs to the people of Dominica and not just one person who believes that they can control it. So this case have a lot of implications. We're going to look forward to seeing what the results of it is at the first instance court, and we will with what the decision of the court is. But we are certain that that issue is a live issue, and that issue must be taken into consideration in order that people can understand where the money is going.
Yeah, but just early on, you made an inference with respect to there wasn't an opposition leader, and that may now be coming to the play. But let us be fair with the system. I mean, and that can be easily argued, because when Mr. Linton was the opposition leader, he did ask questions about ask government's intention and ask about declarations of what the CBI was doing, and the government failed to do it. So the question about whether opposition leader was there or not, these guys continue to what they call violate the constitution and to do what they please to do, and don't pay heed to and have respect for the opposition. Mr. Linton was the opposition leader and was asking about the CBI funds. Had they come clean at the time, like as you rightly said, we would not have been where we are there. Bernie Ryan would not have been the claimant today. That means information would have been forthcoming, and there would have been no need to be in court. Because remember, the highest court of our land, it is the parliament. That's where laws are enacted. And if questions being asked in the parliament are not being answered by those who are responsible, then it seems to me that the other route is to get the court itself to actually adjudicate on behalf of those who are concerned. So I really want to really thank you for that. But something is coming there. Another person, in fact, our own person, Nept Packet, that is from Nept Packet. He's part of us, I can call his name. And it says there, because the Constitution explicitly prescribes how revenues must be handled, the regulation like the SRO 47 does not and cannot supersede the Constitution's rule on the consolidated fund. If the citizenship and investment regulation stated anything inconsistent with 76 or Section 76 rather, for example, that certain revenues be held outside the consolidated fund without parliamentary authority or approval, that provision would be inconsistent with the Constitution and open to legal challenges.
And not just that, not just open to legal challenges, but also to thumbs up to Mr. Packet.
Yeah, Mr. Packet, very good point.
Mr. Packet is making a very valid point, but it is also unconstitutional and it's unlawful.
That's right.
Once you don't, and let me tell you, this constitution is not, the framers of the constitution knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing to avoid those kind of things from creeping up into the system and causing persons and nations to lose revenue, or one could say not only just to lose revenue, but unable to see where the money gone, what is going on with the funds. You know, and it's all about a declaration. I mean, by now, I see the guy said the SRO and all of this. Why not? But there are still chances for the government to do the right thing according to the Constitution, rather than defending something that you know. And I'm sure there are members of the government and there are government ministers and all of that are sure that the actions that is being taken by the opposition, by the United Workers' Party, you know, the actions that are being taken by them is legitimate, it is fair, and it is to bring good governance to this nation. Good governance has been lacking in this country for a very long time. Good governance has caused a lot of persons now to be getting $7 an hour, while the rest of the region are up to $12 and $13. You know, so we have to understand only that of St. Vincent, I was told, but generally speaking, we need to understand that conducting the public purse with transparency is the best thing for any developing country, so that everybody can see what is going on, and therefore we can move on for more important things like our healthcare and other things that we can take part in. So Mr. Glenroy Cuffy, I prefer to say Glenroy Cuffy. You know, it is an interesting matter. I really looking forward to see where does it go from here. But I am certain that the arguments that I heard this morning from the both sides, I mean, the both sides came up with reasonable, you know, if one were to say arguments. You would hear from the government side the issue of the contract was properly executed, and therefore they believe that the MMC contract. But you see, that, as I said earlier, that is like trying to find a different way to say something that you do not have a feet to stand on, you know?
Right.
So,
and so, Ronald, we know, let us move to another part of that aspect, because we know this is a costly exercise. It is costing thousands of dollars. And by the way, we do appreciate the patronage of the patrons, because, you know, Dominicans at large have been financing the whole idea of our court matters over many years, and we do appreciate the effort made by many. And so I think, not disclosing anything, I know you have a fair, because you're involved in it and you know about legal fees. I think it takes a lot, and therefore we continue to solicit funds from the public, and the efforts must be continued. But knowing that you're involved, can you make that final appeal for our people? Because, I mean, one can just imagine just having the lawyers here in Dominica is something else. And don't talk about the legal fees and administrative fees and all other fees part of that. So, and it's not over yet. And we are actually continuing the continued support. We are pledging, we are asking, we are requesting from the public that it should. You have anything to say on that?
Yeah, of course. I just want to again say thank you for what we have received thus far as it relates to the contributions that have been made for this matter. It was able to have legal representation that we would require to challenge these kind of matters. So we want to say thank you to all Dominicans and all those who have, gone deep down into their purse to be able to make that contribution towards this matter. And of course, yes, we are of the view that this is something that we believe that we need to really get it cemented into a final decision, and we are almost convinced that it is going to go up to the CCJ, and the quicker the better, so that we can get a final decision on this. So I'm hoping, Mr. Glenroy Cuffy, that our people will continue to contribute. It's not something that they can continue to contribute towards that fund in terms of the legal fund for this matter. And you can give them the various addresses that they could go online, or www. I believe Dominica.com, Soso. And
Yes,
they could go to the donation.
www.dominica.com.
Right.
You go and donate, and right there you are. Your
Right.
number, I will give it later, but I don't
Right.
have that right now. But yes, you can do that. You could come to the office, send there for the office, and you could really actually get to support us. We have our car raffle outside every Friday outside the Privo Cinema Mall. That again too we could collect from here. And I know by and large Dominicans are supporting what we are doing. So it is important that we continue to do this. But Ronald, it's something I want to say, that is why that court matter, it is very important. And I will make an example, and then you could just, peruse on it in your own way. You know why I believe this matter needs to be addressed by the court. And by the way, I know the court will use its deliberate judgment based on the arguments presented by both sides and will rule accordingly. But why it is important for us? We heard the leader of the country some time ago made the pronouncement that $75 million will be given to a developer to build a hotel. That hotel has been since constructed at Lale Coco, the Oasis Hotel. But yeah, what is happening? This hotel, the CBI money, right? And it was from the proceeds of CBI money. That hotel was supposed to have been constructed from the proceeds of CBI money. That hotel bought the land. No, that CBI money bought the land. That CBI money paid the developer millions of dollars. That CBI money actually constructed the hotel. That CBI money actually, bought a lot of furnishings for the hotels, fixtures and everything else. And possibly that CBI money may still be employed, may still be playing a role in paying workers, because the hotel has not been in full swing yet. I don't think they are actually operating at optimal. But it concerns me far more for other persons, because you know why? Everything that has been done so far with that hotel and the location is the CBI money. The bank didn't get anything, which means that the developer didn't go to the bank to borrow money. And we don't know if it has changed. Nobody's telling us if there is change. If you had a surplus, or if you had a deficit, or if the money was just enough. And so it concerns all of us when you see these things happen. Because I hope that proper accounting will be done, and that, the receipts will be brought in, the receipt in terms of expenditure will be brought in, and so that we can actually, when the audit is done on the whole, on the facility, that the auditor can come up with reasonable, accounting principles stating that, of course, this audit was done, according to auditing principles and would not find any discrepancy. I mean, it concerns me as an individual, as a citizen, just seeing that large amount of money going in, and nobody tells you whether I have change or leftovers, or whether I don't have enough, or whether it was just enough. Doesn't that ring a bell? That is why that matter should really be in the courts.
Yeah, but let me say something too about the regulations, the CBI regulations.
That's correct.
That was issued Section 20 of the Citizenship by Investment Act 1 of 01. All right, that there are two pathways, and it's important that we kind of spend a short time on it. And I'll read it just for the purposes of being clear.
That's right.
because sometimes we have listeners and, sometimes people misinterpret what you say. And so I'll read it.
And we have
Option
the
one.
doctors as well too. Yeah.
They said that the option one is the direct monetary investment, the fund option, a direct monetary investment paid to the government. Regulation 72C requires that the full investment has been deposited with the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The money must go to the government into the consolidated fund. So there's a direct monetary investment option, and option two, which is the real estate investment, a binding purchase and sale agreement for real estate or an investment agreement with the developer, or I should say, or an investment agreement with the developer of an approved project. In this case, monies are placed into an escrow account. Regulation 6.5 provide for this escrow mechanism only in the connection with the approved project. And I add this to say, so there are the two options available, to that citizen and citizen by investment program. There is no amendments to the regulations which include anything about the cash option. All right.
Right.
The thing is, we have to understand this way. And I keep going back to the premise of this matter, the premise of which we must take note. All right, why this matter is important to us as a nation, as a people, because it goes back to the same fundamental point that one of your viewers made, Mr. Packet, the issue about the constitutionality, all right, and the reason, and so you see why it was so important that the framers realize what can happen if we do not have that consolidated fund. They anticipated that.
Yes.
That is why it's in there. The Constitution say, hey, you see that money thing when, if we were to be selling water or be it any other product, from a national perspective, all right? It's the same principle. The money ought to go to somewhere so that everybody can see where it's coming from, or what it is being used for, what is coming in, what is going out.
No, yeah.
It's like a book. So, for example, up to today, there has been no disclosure, no disclosure as to how much money coming in. I heard in the court today that it doesn't matter even if it's 5 cents or 10 cents or $1 million or $2 million. At the end of the day, there is a contractual arrangement between MMC and the government, and therefore that is the premise upon which one must disclose and do this. But our side is saying no. You can't just take a contract and eliminate constitutional and regulations that are important for the management and good governance. And my favorite word, transparency in governance. You can't take it away from the Constitution, and you can't take it away from the people of Dominica. So it was a very interesting matter. Of course, the political leader, Dr. Thomson Fontaine, was in court today, and I don't know if you saw his debriefing, a small debriefing after the matter, together with senior counsel, and he keep lamenting the points that basically came out of the court, and that is the importance for the Dominican people understanding this declaration is that the funds, people, is simple. Let us take it as simple as we can get it. Let me fix my glasses for this. As simple as we can get it, Soso, is that it is important that the money received from the sale of the passport, the money that is received, is placed in the consolidated fund so that the issue of transparency and good governance can be embraced by a people that understands its constitution and understands also that somebody else cannot be collecting our money and basically collecting our money and doing whatever they want or paying whenever they want. No, it's supposed to go into consolidated fund, and everything's supposed to go in and out from that fund. So I am pretty confident that the end result of this matter will bring satisfaction. One can say that it may not be I'm hoping that maybe Soso by the end of the year or early 2027, we should be at the CCJ level as it relates to this matter, because we need to get to the bottom of this as quick as we can. And I
Well,
want
yes,
to.
and I know, well, the final appellate court for us is the CCG. That's where
That
we
is
will
correct.
be heading. And as a matter of a fact, I don't think even if you have an agreement with someone, notwithstanding, the whole idea of trying to now swerve from Section 76 to justify actions by the government, I am sure there would be a clause where both sides would want to know that supervision and management and transparency and correct reporting would have been done in terms of, because the government itself, notwithstanding you are making a contract between you, the government, and someone, a developer, it means that you must have an understanding of good accountability, transparency, and to actually have updates as to what is happening. Because you don't want to just pay forever. You want to know that you are managing. So I'm sure, and I know the lawyers will ask for it, in the contract would have had whoever, MMC would have to come clean with the government to say, look, that's how the funds have been managed, and we can now make that declaration, but look, that's how the money was spent. And the argument there is that, and no one can tell me what it is, nothing is going to supersede Section 76, which states that all monies collected should be in the consolidated fund. And that's where the argument is strong, and I believe nothing will supersede that. It is a constitutional matter, and and everyone would say it would be sad to report if that matter goes, left or west, that we would have concerns about constitutional reform. But as we speak, I know, let me just congratulate you and the lawyers, Mr. Ram Logan and his team, for doing a very good job. And I want to say thank God to our political leader who has actually made it his business to ensure, yes, while it has been spoken about, a number of persons have been at to check with respect to bringing this matter to the fore. Mr. Linton has been speaking about it for a very long time. Questions were asked by him through the parliament, and no response or responses were given to him. He didn't have any reporting given to him. He has spoken enough about it, and the government keep pussyfooting. Today, the matter is in the courts, and we hope and we're seeing good signs that it is moving forward, and that the work that people continue to do to support the vice, because like anything else, the government will not pay lawyers for us, They'll not pay lawyers for us. They have all the lawyers, and they are the wings and fancy of lawyers. They can just use the state resources and be there. We have to actually get our way in to try to see how we can actually resolve matters through the courts, and have to be relying on the public to actually chip in the little 5 cents and 10 cents,
Yes. Yeah, and I want to reemphasize that, yes, there are a lot of persons who have really contributed towards this matter. Of course, the leadership under Dr. Thomson Fontaine, because Mr. Linton has been, and up to today, has been instrumental in this matter, and continue to, to be part of the I call ourselves the local CBI team. And I want to take this opportunity to again thank everybody who have made a contribution in one way or the other, and more importantly, Dominicans who have spent their little 5 cents and their little 10 cents to ensure that the smooth financial support to the lawyers and the legal team in order that we can get this matter going. So a thumbs up, to all those who have helped in one way or the other, and all those who believe strongly that this is an important issue that must be dealt with, that must be Dominicans must get answers on. So I want to say generally too, thanks to of course the court for accommodating us. I see that there has been, there is no delay on this thing. Things are happening quite quickly, and I want to thank the justice system for looking into it, so that we can get some quick answers here on this issue. Time is on us already. It can't be.
I would like to ask you one more question. Just one more question. I know you are. Thank you again. Let me just say thank you. I mean, I know we are closing up. Time is not on our hand. The clock is on the right side of things, and it is cruising. But I know we're optimistic, and we know we're optimistic that the right decision will be made. What will be that victory like? It is not for us. What is that victory about?
That's a very good question. You see, and that is why it is important for people to understand the purpose of this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is not a victory for the United Workers' Party or the opposition forces. This is a victory for the Dominican people to realize that we are in this as we are in the opposition, but we are in this as a watchdog towards the Constitution, towards what is going on in the country. And that is why we believe that because we are able to identify what is wrong and identify, the loopholes in the administration of this government, we'll be able to do this. That is why we are saying change is a must as it relates to good governance, as it relates to accountability. And that is what this will bring, a level of security where people can now understand that it's not about a vai thing, and because you are in government, you can do what you want. You can, just change things around without paying attention to the Constitution, to the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, because that is important to us as a people. So it's not about victory, and because if it's not about a monetary thing back, it's about understanding. This is not about seeking damages, and if we win, we're gonna get this and this and that. This is not about that. This is about saying that something is wrong between the contractual arrangements with MMC and the government of Dominica, where MMC is in full control of managing the sales of our passport. And we don't believe that is correct because, and I've said it so many times for the night, maybe more than 20 times, because we believe that it is important that these monies go to the consolidated fund. But it will also be an eye-opener that if and when the results of this is to the affirmative, and we are correct, and Bernie Ryan is successful, it will show that we have put this country in a serious dilemma. And in a hole that probably would be unimaginably, we would never be able to fill, because that hole is going to be big. Because if you're talking about, I was reading something, hold on, and I don't mean to take away your precious time.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was just highlighting something. Oti, just 1 minute.
man. No, man. Ila.
You speak good Creole, man, Mr.
I'm trying. I'm trying, I'm trying.
Well, I may have lost it, but it is important to note that the various reports that has been surrounding the perceived number of passports that we may have sold, that may be in the billions allegedly, and not only you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. So a lot of money may have been generated from the sale of passport that we are unable to get to see, because one of the fundamental things that the defendants did, which is the government, one of the fundamental mistakes is that they didn't disclose anything as it relates to those things. So you don't know who's selling, who receiving, who this, who that. All they're saying, they have a new contract with MMC, and that should be the focus of this. And we are saying no. We're saying no. All right. We're not going to use a different method to get there. All right. I think I got it. A further analysis published on the 12th of October 2023 in The Guardian reported that Dominica may have sold thousands more passports than it publicly disclosed, with analysis of government budget data suggesting as many as 19,000 individuals obtained citizenship, and you had the year 2016 and in 2022, the EU separately reported that Dominica issued 34,500 CBI passports. The UK imposed visa restrictions on Dominica over home security, clear and evident abuse of the citizen by investment. In 2024, the government itself revoked 68 citizen by investment through the SRO 4 of 24, citing fraud, false representation, or concealment. Yet, significantly, no action was taken against the agents who facilitated those fraudulent applications. Right? So you can see that the broader picture underscores the urgent need for judicial determination of the legal question raised by Mr. Ryan, the claimant. The absence of any transparency, the lack of any published report, despite promises since 2019. Since 2019, they're saying we come in with it, we come in with it, we come in with it. But in turn, you know what they're doing? They're now blinding the Dominican people with the projects that are going on. And there are allegedly, let me use my words properly, they're allegedly trying to basically divert people's minds that all the millions they're talking about, look it. But yet still, this is a program that started since the time during the United Workers' Party's governance and up to today. So, but they're only focusing on so fellas are saying to me sometimes in casual, discussions, but look at all what they have going on. So look at, no. Can you imagine the kind of monies that may have been generated from the citizen by investment? But the work continues. I believe that Senior Counsel and his team and the United Workers' Party and the opposition has done a great job to bring this to the fore. I think what we must not do, and it is malicious to do so, is that the government side want people to believe that what we are trying to do is to stop the citizen by investment program. This is malicious. This is wrong. This is unfair. All we are saying, the people of Dominica, the people of the world, by and large, the diasporas, what we are saying is there are money coming in for the sale of our passport. And we are saying that it should be in a fund in Dominica, in the treasury somewhere, the consolidated fund, of which whatever comes in and whatever goes out, all of us will have our eyes on it, and that's all we are saying. We don't ask
so
for damages.
Let me read some comments. I'll come back to you to ask you one more question you rang up. So, somebody saying there, one of the texters, so you do not talk about massive secret bay, but you're talking about capitalized hotel. What a shame. Well, it's not a shame. I'm talking about what information I have. The leader of the country did say $75 million was going to be awarded for that project. I have knowledge of that because I heard the Prime Minister said it. So I'm talking about what I know. And I do not know about Secret Bay and the disclosure of how much money they have been making, but I know for sure that hotel for sure is the first time Dominicans hear about one hotel is $75 million. And then some other good comments coming up there. One person saying again, let me get it right. This is a good case in my view to pursue, long overdue. There is precedence in the case in Belize, and it is long overdue. The government must be accountable, support this effort fully. When you say we would have put Dominica in a hole, please change the way, please change. We today, meaning the Labour Party leadership, be clear, brother, be clear, be clear. And that is very true. Yes, and somebody else is saying having a new serious chief of police just get appointed for outcome of this matter is very serious, because if the government loses this matter, obviously there could be legal implications, which means that persons could get arrested. But I know we're out of time, and I'm just ask you, when is the next court date?
Well, the court has reserved its decision. They would advise accordingly. So we'll be informed as to when the decision is ready, and the various parties will be notified for those the times and dates for the decision in this matter. Something that we'll all be looking forward to. All right.
Yes, so let me just thank you, Mr. Ronald Charles, attorney at law and also deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party. Tonight, I'm sure you have spoken in your capacity as an attorney because you have been a liaison between your office and the attorneys from overseas. So let me thank you for the work that you do, you and your legal team. Let me thank the United Workers' Party executive and all Dominicans and all patriotic Dominicans, liberal rights, UWPites, Freedomites, Papyites, all the other political parties and supporters, because this is something about Dominica. And we are not going to subscribe to see whether or not we change laws to or circumvent our laws just to justify our actions. And let me put on the record that if I gave someone money to build a house for me, based on the amount of money I gave the person and what I'm seeing before me, may not justify exactly that is the amount of money that I gave the person that was spent. So that is what is actually happening. Notwithstanding that the government is trying to put our eyes on projects around, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't show that all of these millions were spent just as they're trying to point out. So, Mr. Attorney at Law, let me thank you very much for your time. Let me thank our producer. Let me thank those who have been behind the scene. And let me say good night to all. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for participating. It has been a pleasure. This has been Real Talk with our Deputy Political Leader, Honorable Ronald Charles, an attorney at law, who has been with us talking about the CBI and what is happening right now and the expectations. Mr. Ronald Charles, thank you very much. And for all those who participated, made their contribution, I say good night to you all. Thanks for your contribution.
So long, everybody.
So long.
God bless.
God bless.
So you have a good night. God bless.
Thank you, sir.